Randy, welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Dude, long time coming. I think this was, we were talking about it when we first saw each other earlier. I think this was the last event that we all kicked it together.
A lot of years ago, man.
2019, December 2019. I remember right as everyone was getting there, we were hanging out in your room, I think in this building, a couple floors down, and Eric showed up dressed like a monk or some shaman or something like that. Wow, long time ago. Dude, long time coming. For people that don't know you and your story, give us the spark notes. Who you are, where you coming from, what do you do now?
Yeah, my name's Randy Molland. I'm a real estate investor from up in Canada, and I started out as an electrician in my early days, and had some success. Always had this little grit to be the best I could be, get further ahead. And one of my mentors in the electrical industry kind of took me under his wing. He would, push me as hard as he could. He always said I could be something more. I was fairly young, and he just pushed me super freaking hard. And so I became a really great electrician at a young age. And then unfortunately, he died in a job site accident. So this guy I mentored and worked underneath, we're putting 50-hour weeks in, 5-6 days a week. We were working out of town, all of a sudden just passed away. And I had a life choice to say, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna go down this choice of drugs and alcohol and hating my life? Or am I just gonna become the best version of me and live this life so full of freaking purpose to serve what we could have done together? And so I found real estate. I literally just Googled how to make as much money as I can and never work again. That was the goal. Let's just make a ton of money, never work, and just go hang out and do cool stuff and serve and do a lot of fun things. And so I started a real estate investment company. We had some success early on, had a lot of fun with it. We scaled pretty quickly, went from single family to multifamily to development. Ended up putting a few development deals together, and then now turning into kind of a social entrepreneur. I run a bit of a mastermind. I'm in a venture to create a new community, and I still do some real estate investing and just touch a bunch of different projects, but really finding kind of that sweet spot and just being more of the CEO type lifestyle and just touching a few different businesses that all fall underneath the same umbrella.
That's so cool. When we first connected, when did I join? I guess I joined Thrive in 2018 was my first big Thrive. So I guess that's when I joined. So we met early 2019, late 2018, whenever that first meetup. I think it was Newport Beach, maybe. No, Santa Monica, actually. And that was a while ago in your real estate journey, what you and Steve were building. Steve's not here this weekend, is he?
No.
Dang. Shout out to Steve. I haven't seen him in a while. Actually, I saw him before I saw you last, because I saw him in Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
We got a bunch of Wagyu. It was great.
Yeah.
There's videos of it. It's so good. Talk to me about that growth in real estate, because obviously, we just finished talking to Cole. I don't know what the order of these episodes coming out is going to be, but he said it best. It's everyone that's super rich is in real estate. So why don't get into real estate? I don't know anything, or I didn't know anything about real estate, and I just always looked at real estate as how I would build long-term wealth. So I think that's a really common belief, but then you look at it, you start to unpack it, and it's wow, it's a little complicated at times, or am I going to go single family now? Is it am I going to just rental arbitrage and do a bunch of Airbnbs?
But it's a different world now.
You had a really interesting growth, like you mentioned, single family to multifamily to eventually development, which is huge. What did that look like, and how did you navigate that quick trajectory?
Yeah, a lot of it was great mentorship. Invested in a lot of programs to learn how to do it. And honestly, dude, the market was just great. I started 7 years ago, and we were in a 10-year cycle of real estate investing. So we went and bought a bunch of properties right as things were starting to boom, and you basically threw a dart and you couldn't lose. You bought a property, we'd rent them out, they'd make cash flow, and you just sit on it for a few years and you make a few $100,000. Easy, simple concept. Once you started seeing some of that success, we started raising quite a bit of capital along the way. We also started a meetup as well, so we thought, hey, I was pretty young, I was 25 when I started, and so who's going to take a 25-year-old seriously that has no business credit, no nothing, just an electrician? How is somebody going to take him seriously, invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into him? Well, we started a meetup, which got us the authority, it put us on stage, it put us in the front of the room, it got us connected to really incredible mortgage brokers, real estate agents, and accountants, and we leveraged those relationships to then become experts in those spaces. So we grew the meetup, grew the single family portfolio, and then started getting into some of the small multis, had some success there. Exactly the same process. You just duplicate it on bigger buildings and go raise more capital. And then we started putting some wholesale stuff together for development, because we realized one of the biggest problems in buying cash flowing single family assets, especially in Canada, but in these higher markets, also like California, New York type stuff, there's not a lot of cash flow. There's a lot of appreciation, but you're not paying your day to day. And a lot of people out there talk about like, oh, I make $500 a property. That's great. If you go buy 10 properties, you're making $5,000 a month. That's awesome as a side hustle.
Yeah.
But when that's your main primary income, you're not living a very luxurious life.
Yeah.
Once you get to 10 properties, you have to manage them. You have to take care of them. You have to deal with all the maintenance and the repairs and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all your free time is gone. So you have to make that transition to go full time. And that's the biggest problem we see with people in real estate is in markets where you're banking on lower cash flow, you get sucked into the grind with no active income. And so that's when we decided that we need to go and do a bit of wholesaling and a little bit more of the land development deals and putting some stuff together. And we put together a little bit more active income, which brought us into a development space. We partnered with a developer, and we went on to go raise tens of millions of dollars for some of these development projects. And that was kind of our niche in there as we scaled that up. That's kind of the progress we went through. And for 6.5 years, we did a meetup every single month. So 6.5 years, every single month, showing up, building the brand, building the community, getting in front of deals and making stuff happen.
It's so cool, the authority hacking piece.
I honestly, dude, I could spend a full podcast talking about what it did for us and how it changed. And I run a real estate mastermind now, and the number one question we get asked, like, how did you guys raise so much money so quickly, so early on in your career? Mm-hmm. We just grind it, man. Every single month, we were putting over 100 people in a room to listen to us speak at the front of the stage. Even if we spoke about stuff we didn't want to or weren't experts in, if I introduce, you had Cole on here, if I come in and say, hey guys, thanks for coming out tonight, here's Cole Hatter, I get his authority. People start going, how did you get that connection? How did you get that person in here? So I gained a lot of status and a lot of credibility by bringing in really good mortgage brokers. I didn't just go find somebody that had a few deals. I was bringing in somebody that was like the top real estate investor in Canada or brokerage in Canada to come in and speak. I was finding the top real estate agents to come in and speak, build that credibility. And then when an investor came to this meetup, they'd be like, whoa, those are the people that you hang out with that you're trusting to run your numbers, that you're trusting to get your financing, that you're trusting to all this stuff. Duh, why wouldn't I want to invest with you on that type of space? So that authority building was so huge for us and just allowed us to grow in that space quite a bit more.
Dude, it's so powerful. Like, it's such a powerful tool, and I don't think enough people understand that piece. Like, that co-branding concept, that's literally what you're doing. Like, you're borrowing their authority, right? And that doesn't necessarily, I think the part that's really important that I want to underline is, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, the deal's not done then, but it's gotten you in the door, and it gives you the opportunity to prove that you know what you're doing.
Totally.
Right? By creating your own stage. Like, we did the same thing with this podcast.
Totally, man.
You know, it's like, it's relationship building. I was joking with Cole before we kind of got rolling on our interview. I'm like, dude, I've booked one call in the history of this show. One lead call ever, and they no-showed. Like, it's not for that purpose. Yeah. It's, I want to meet really cool people. I want to have amazing conversations. And that co-branding is obviously going to prop our brand up so that people take it seriously. And then they realize, wow, well, hopefully they realize that, like, these guys don't suck.
Podcasts are the best thing. So I have a podcast too. It's called the Go Big to Get Big podcast. Little shout out and plug there. Mm-hmm. And the craziest thing is, I was telling you before we hopped on here, like, I stopped tracking so many of my metrics right now because I was so focused on how many views am I going to get? What am I going to do? And I stopped thinking about, like, who has this podcast got me in front of? How did I get to interview Tim Story and David Meltzer and Brandon Turner and Cole Hatter, like all these incredible people that I had no business talking to them? I booked a few minutes before the call for them to hop on, explain the podcast, who we are, what we do. We do the podcast, like, wow, similar to what you get all the time. Great interview, love the questions, you guys crush it, you did your homework, you did your prep, and then 15 minutes after, hey, you got 5 minutes to chat? I just want to pick your brain, I want to share what we're doing. Can I get your cell phone number? All of a sudden, my network has grown so much by just having a podcast, and not one person's asked me how many views have I had, what my credibility is, but they're all willing to get on because I'm promoting their product. So that authority hacking is one of the coolest things I think you can do, and you can easily do it by starting a podcast, running a meetup, anything like that is the fastest way to grow your brand. And then people look at Mike and go, Mike, how do you get those connections? You must have some status, some connections, somewhere to go. It builds a know, like, and trust factor. Know, like, and trust factor 10 times faster than you just going out there and trying to maybe create free content to start with.
100%. And there's so many ways that people can do this. Like, yeah, we're doing it through podcasts. You can do it through meetups like you guys have done. You can do it through collaborative content, especially now on Instagram with these collaborator posts. Like, you can do it when you go to these events, but find a way to leverage it, because it's been a catapult for us. It's been a catapult for you guys. And again, like, I want to underline, it only mattered that it catapulted because there was substance, right? Like, it's not just about authority hacking and then getting into the space. It's like, hi, I'm here, give me millions of dollars. Like, you have to actually know what the fuck you're doing and actually be really good at it. But it's a way to kind of shorten that process a little bit, which I think is really cool. So you've progressed through the real estate. You've gone through single family, multifamily to development. Where are things at with the real estate now? You mentioned you're kind of like picking and choosing the deals. You're running the mastermind. You have this really cool new initiative that I'm sure we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Like, what does the business landscape look like for you right now?
It's an interesting one. I heard you talking on other podcasts, and I know some of our mentors share the same things. We're talking about like the seasons that you're in. I just have gone through a few different seasons over the past little while. And so I had the accomplishments in real estate. We started the mastermind just at the end of the pandemic. We couldn't travel to a lot of the events we were going to, so we said, why don't we just host our own? And that was a lot of fun. It's a lot of the same thing, getting authority, bringing in people, standing at the front of the room, but just with a group of our like-minded audience. And honestly, one of my biggest passion projects. I could just run that mastermind for the rest of my life and be super stoked, because I just love what it does for me as in my core values. But I want more. And so I don't know what it was, earlier this year, I just felt like I was getting stale, bored, wanted something different. And I started seeing a lot of Jesse Itzler. And I started seeing him talk a lot about like what his life was. You know, anytime you see some water, go do a cold plunge. Why not just go run a marathon tomorrow, right? Just put your shoes on and run. Why not do these kinds of things? And I was like, I'm just missing so much. I'm so focused on building this real estate company. I'm like, I just want to be like a gritty human. I want to get some grit back. I want to be able to do that in all areas of my life. And for whatever it was, I just felt that real estate wasn't my passion. I was missing something in my life. And I know you had Cole on a previous, we talked so much about him because he was just here. And we're at his event, so it kind of works out. But I was in Thrive for 6 years, and that's where I really found my passion, was in making my money matter. Our meetup was free, we made it paid, and we donated 100% of the money to charity. 100 people, $10 a month, or $10 a visit for our meetup. We're donating $1,000 a month to charity. So we're donating $10,000 a year to charity for just running a meetup. Very cool concept. We added that into our real estate, where we donate $10 per door per month. So we have a 5-plex, it donates $50 a month. You scale that up to 20 units, 50 units at $10 a month per door. It starts to scale. Now all of a sudden we're starting to see this progress. In there I created our mission, Go Big to Give Big, like our podcast. And in our mastermind, we donate, every member that comes in, we donate a portion away. And I started to see like my passion for giving back, my excitement for going harder in life and wanting to do more. And I don't know where I saw it, but it was like a combination of some influencers that the harder they grinded, the more physical challenges they went through, the more they like changed the way their brain operated. They found more purpose, they found their desire, and they found what they wanted. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna still do my stuff, but I'm gonna really focus on my mental health and my like mental toughness in a physical way. I want to challenge my body. So I signed up for a really cool event called 29029.
Dude, I need to ask you about this.
We can dive into that, because that was one of the craziest experiences of my life. But training for that built some of that mental toughness that I was looking for. And it was in that process that I started feeling just different feelings, different things that I wanted. And so when I did 29029, which I could do, again, a whole podcast about that, because it was absolutely insane, 21 hours straight, no sleep, hiking up a mountain for 29,000 feet. I think it was like, we ended up doing like 31,000 just the way the mountain worked. So we did 31,000 feet in 21 hours.
Which mountain? Do you do Whistler?
Yeah, I did Whistler. And then coming home, and 7 days later, I went and ran a marathon. Never ran more than 10K in my life. And 7 days later, signed up for a marathon on a whim. Wasn't planned, wasn't anything. And I was just like, this is it. And it was in that marathon that I found a whole different perspective on life that I wanted to do, where I decided that I'm going to walk away from the real estate space and go all in on this go big to give big mission, and just build something that is so passionate for me, so driven by what I wanted, and just in alignment with where I was. Had some sort of download, some sort of shift, and like lightning struck. And within a few weeks, I put together a really incredible, awesome community idea and stuff. And so that's kind of where my shaping up now. But to get there was, 9 months of a lot of unknown and living in no man's land, going, I don't want to be a real estate investor, but I'm really good at it, and I've got all the communities for it, but it's actually not where my heart is. Yeah. So it's a lot of no man's land.
Dude, that's really interesting. And the whole like mental toughness, grit piece, like I'm fascinated by this world. And I think that's why you and I follow a lot of the similar people. 29029, I've been trying to get into this freaking event, but it sells out in like minutes. And if you don't have everything, all your ducks in a row of who's going to come with you, you're ready to book instantly. Like it's a wrap. It's not happening. That's been on it for a long time. And this like runner's high, it's something that I've never experienced, but I can't wait to, because all of my friends that are endurance athletes that are doing any level of physical fitness at a massive scale, like the stuff you're talking about, it's wild. Like the level of perspective, it's a form of meditation for these people, and you just reach those downloads. That's so interesting.
It's like a creative outlet.
Yeah.
It's like a creative outlet. Like when I run, it's a trance. I'm in my brain, I'm just like, it's not like a 10K run where I do it in 50 minutes and you're back at home, you're back at work again. Like we're talking like even some of the prep work was like 4 or 5 hours, but it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. It's like I'm gonna do it with no headphones, nobody around me, in the morning with a headlamp, with a weighted vest, like let's go. If I'm gonna go into this pain cave, if I'm gonna go find what that is, I wanna go like, the meditation is how far can we take it? How far out of our lives can we get and find out what our bodies are capable of? And I think David Goggins does a really good job of explaining that where we think our 100% is actually what he says, like 30 or 40% of what you're capable of. And when it's after that 30% that you learn so much about what you're capable of, how confident you can be, what you're actually able to do. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, because it's a whole different world. And all of a sudden you explore 70% of your life that you didn't even know you had. Yeah. That's what 29029 is. That first 30% is your first 4 laps. Boom, you're done. But you still got 4 more. I did wisdom, which is 8 laps. 4 more laps, you're toasted, your hips are sore, you're tired, you're exhausted, and you're like, I'm only halfway done. That 70% is built on that last half, and man, it is the craziest runner's high, meditation. I don't want to allude it to like doing medical type drugs, but it's the same kind of thing. You get in such a different headspace that you have out of body experiences, especially on 29029, dude. Like hiking up that mountain at 1:30 in the morning by myself, no music, just you, a headlamp, and the mountain. It's a 2.5 hour hike. You do that twice. I did it from 11 o'clock on, and I finished at about 3:45 in the morning. So from 11 to 3:45, by myself, no music, no headlamp. Like that was like pure meditation, man. Yeah. That is like getting put in a deprivation tank and just doing it on a mountain.
Yeah, I feel like you learn a lot about the stories you tell that keep you stuck in that 30%.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that like really stuck out to you as you were going through some of these experiences? Like what did you learn about the stories that you're telling yourself?
A lot of what I learned, honestly, was my ability to perform stronger than I was. So I had this story of like, I'm only as good as X, Y, and Z, right? That 30%. And you look at some of these public figures, like I would never be able to do business with them. I'd never be able to sit in the same room and have the same conversations. I was like, when I hit this mountain, I was in peak state, peak form, ready to go. And I found something different inside of me on a physical level that I couldn't find in business. And when we were hiking up and down this mountain, it got to 11 o'clock at night, and the people I was hiking with, unfortunately one of them had some pretty soreness and they had to step out, and two of the other guys were slowing down so slow that I couldn't even they were barely even walking, but they weren't giving up, though they were gonna go. And we still had 2 more laps to go. So the people I was hiking with, one left to go nap and come back, the other 2 I left behind. And that in that exact moment, I was like, I just have some sort of grit, willpower, and mental strength that I didn't even know was in me. I didn't know I had the ability to take this to a whole new level. And then I went and hiked my 2 fastest laps from 11 o'clock at night till 3:45 in the morning, with the biggest grin on my face at every aid station. If you listen to Jesse Itzler or Chad Wright or any of those guys, I don't get tired. I'm the happiest I've ever been. This is the easiest lap yet. The most positive, outgoing, and happiest I ever was in those moments. And I was like, dude, I literally just trained my brain to think that I wasn't tired, to outperform all these other people in the mountain. I ended up finishing 4th of 250. And it was like,
dang.
It was like, dude,
that's sick.
I have this grit and willpower that I didn't know I had. And in those moments on the mountain, in the 4 hours by myself, I said, what can I take from, how can I take this back to my business? Because that's where I was missing that confidence. And then running my marathon after, I had the same moments. Obviously, I did not perform well in the marathon. It was a grind, but that's also a different grind.
You finish?
I finished 3 hours and 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Sweet.
And it was in miles, kilometers, where I'm from, Canadian. From kilometers 31 to 42, that 10K or 11K was the biggest struggle of my life. And all I could think was, if I can complete this, I'm taking so much confidence into my business that nothing's gonna stop me.
Dude, that piece right there, that's the mindset I've always, that's the story I tell when I'm enduring anything.
Yeah. It's
imagine, of course, after you're all in your feels, right? Once I've gotten through that stage of whatever grief or whatever, woe is me, that minuscule pity party that you allow yourself to throw, and hopefully you time box. Yeah. Once you get through that, then it's immediately switching to imagine how fucking strong I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Imagine how strong I'm gonna be once I endure X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a powerful perspective. But one thing that we both just kind of hit on that I want to really underline is the brainwashing ourselves piece.
Yeah.
Dude, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between true and false. It literally believes what you tell it most consistently and most frequently.
Yeah.
And in moments like that, you actually get to see it. We're here at a mastermind, in these communities, you also get to see it, right? You empower each other to think bigger. I remember when I came to my first mastermind, the one we were talking about earlier at Santa Monica, I just remember being in the community and the conversations, and all of a sudden it lifted what I believed was possible, right? And my brain started thinking differently. Nothing changed. I just was in a different energy, and it empowered a different belief that I was propping up.
Dude, Chad Wright says that all the time. Don't give your pain a voice. So I'll take it back to the endurance side, because that's what I'm really heavy on in this space. Chad Wright says, don't give your pain a voice. So when we were hiking on that mountain, the people in my crew, oh man, I'm getting blisters. Oh man, my hips are sore. Oh man, I'm starting to feel that. Oh, it's getting tired. Oh, I didn't drink water. The whole time, I'm like, guys, this is absolutely insane. I'm not sore at all. I just not sore. My fiance is I get up to the top of the mountain, she's standing there, she's looking at me. She knows I'm broke. I'm broke, dude. This is a big hike. And I'm I feel the best I've ever felt. She's like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. Honestly, I could just hike this mountain all day long. I'm thinking about doing it twice. I'm going to finish, and I'm just going to go hike 3 more. That's what I kept telling every aid station. How you guys doing? The best I've ever been. This is the easiest lap yet. The guys I was with didn't have the exact same language. They had the same grit. They wanted it as bad as I wanted it. But what they told themselves was, I'm tired, I'm sore, my feet are here, I can't do it. There wasn't 1 ounce of a spoken word in this entire 21 hours that I hiked where I complained. I had blisters, I had sore hips, I had a lot of stuff, but I didn't let that come into my brain. Just total brainwash myself, and I just told myself I was having the best time of my life. Dude, I was one of the happiest people on the mountain, just like every single person I passed, just like, dude, how you doing? I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling great. You can't bring me down. All this stuff. And it changed everything. And to relate that back to business now and the results that I'm getting, I came back and I did the same thing for the marathon. The marathon was funny because it's a very different crowd. 29 on 29 is like people are there for self-development. They're not athletes. It's like
it's Jesse's crew.
Yeah, it's like people that just want to like change their life kind of thing.
Yeah.
The marathon, there's people that are runners. When I'm running down the road and I'm like, it's crazy. I just don't get tired. I can run this marathon all day. People are like, look, like who's this weirdo out here? Like on the mountain, it was normal. Out there, it wasn't. Yeah. And but when I came back, I built that into the mindset to say, well, if I did that there, how can I do that in my business? I started waking up at 4 in the morning. I'm not tired. I'm so excited to build this business. I just want to wake up at 4 in the morning. I had to tell myself that every single day. Boom, boom, boom. Up at 4 a.m., grinding. I'm getting tired. Hey, it's crazy. I don't get tired because I'm so excited to build.
Yeah.
I don't get tired because I'm so excited to do this. And I've had to brainwash myself to get there. And that's something that is so powerful. The art of the spoken word is like the most important thing. And I can't say it enough. Like Jesse Itzer, Chad Wright, and another guy, Colin O'Brady. That's so much of what they talk about.
Colin.
Colin's
He's awesome.
He's beautiful, man. He's one of the biggest inspirations for me right now. All they talk about is what they say to themselves matters the most, whether it's business, personal development, life, anything. Yeah. And then now taking that, if you want to go into it, into the business side of where I'm going, the confidence I got from what I created was I spent 9 months in a lull, trying to figure out what I wanted. I tried to do stuff for Go Big to Give Big. I'm trying to launch the podcast. I'm trying to do this thing to find some passion. Couldn't find it. I do 29, do the marathon, 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks of finishing that marathon, I'd built something that I spent 9 months trying to build because my brain was just so sharp. I was so on. I was so ready to go. The things I said to myself, I said, you know what? I can go hang with some of these big guys. I can create a community that's just this excellent and do this kind of stuff. And I had just a new belief of self-confidence that I could do. I went past that 30% belief mark that I had of what I was capable in business, started getting to that 70.
Yeah.
What that ended up doing was putting me in Cole Hatter's house, having a conversation about what I wanted to create. And he was like, bro, that's what I was going to create. You have some time on your hands. I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I have the audience that's already interested in it. You have the belief that I do. What if we just put something together and co-created this? You asked me 9 months ago if that was even an option. Is probably I don't belong in that room. There's no way, if I pitch Cole, he's not going to be interested. It's all these different things. Fast forward to finishing my marathon, it's like, dude, I belong there. I don't care what it costs me. I want in that room because, dude, you're going to want to partner with this Randy, the guy that's now done 29029. I don't think I was ready then. And I'm so glad I waited, did this stuff, and now I'm just a whole different human. And now Cole wants to partner with this Randy on what he's doing because he can hang in this space and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I talk about it all the time. This is why we do hard things. I literally put it on my Instagram this morning. I was reading a book. I was finishing it this morning I think it's called How the Mighty Fall by Jim Collins. It's one of the second to last one in his series, the Good to Great series.
Yep.
And it has this, I put it online. It says, when we find ourselves in trouble, when we find ourselves on the cusp of failing, our survival instinct and our fear can evoke lurching, reactive behavior absolutely contrary to survival. The very moment when we need to take calm, deliberate action, we run the risk of doing the exact opposite and bringing about the very outcomes we fear the most.
Yep.
Right? And he was painting the picture, telling the story about this person who was rock climbing and all this stuff went wrong and this storm came through and they freaked out. And the freak out actually led to the demise instead of just being super calm and dealing with this stuff, right? So I was talking about it this morning from a perspective of wow, this is why we do hard shit. It's not because I care about the medical benefits of a fucking ice bath.
Yeah.
Okay, those are cool and that's an added bonus. I do it because I want to condition myself to embrace that mindset. I do difficult things.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a really cool additional benefit on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people talk about, dude, if we make our morning more challenging than anything life will throw at us, come at me, bro.
Yeah.
I'm good. But the flip of it is the discipline or the confidence that gets built from the discipline and from the relentless action around these really challenging things leads to exactly what you're talking about.
Totally.
Which is so cool. So I'm excited to learn about what you're doing because I have so much respect for you and for Cole. And I can't wait to watch it come to life. But share with people what you guys are talking about what you guys are building with Go Big to Give Big and Thrive and Making Money Matter. And talk to me what that looks like.
Yeah, so the full story is I started this real estate company. I didn't have purpose. I heard about Thrive. I flew down. I did the conference. I signed up for the mastermind. Worked underneath Cole for 5 years. Mentored underneath them. Said, man, it'd be so cool. Like I just became an instant believer. Not just like a believer. Like I'm an evangelist. I put it into all my businesses. I preach it. I teach it. I created a company around it. I asked Cole if I could steal Make Money Matter. He's like, dude, go create your own. I'll support you in everything you do, but just create your own. So that's what I did. I created Go Big to Give Big. Did all that stuff. When I had this download of like, leave real estate, go do this Go Big to Give Big, what does it look like? And I sat there and it was just like, we've been a part of this mastermind for a lot of years. The things I remember from the mastermind are sitting around a fire, writing out like the beliefs that I wanted to get rid of with all my friends and then crying and holding each other and being like, that's it. Talking about the differences we want to make in the world. And going down to Mexico and hanging out at Cole's orphanage and being in the most raw, vulnerable state, and then sharing my fears in the world, what I want to accomplish and what I want to do, going and doing a house build, like those moments were turning for me. I remember every vivid moment of them. What I don't remember is what Eric Thomas said on stage when he came in and spoke. Phenomenally motivating in the moment, but I don't remember a second of that. I can tell you every single moment from every mastermind that I've been with Cole of the life-changing moments where we were vulnerable and just in a different state. So when I thought, what can we do differently? Obviously, we're going to make money matter. We're going to go big to get big. We're going to make business. We're going to make the thought of doing business and not having a giving component obsolete. If you don't have a business that gives back, we're coming for you. We're going to take your clients and we're just going to go on and just do business differently. Mm-hmm. And so to tie that together now, I was like, we come to these business masterminds and we sit in boardrooms for 3 days and we barely learn anything and we try and get an ROI on our business.
Yeah.
But we don't focus on the ROI as us as humans. And that's something you touched on earlier here is like you come here and you're just like, you're a different human. You get a different energy. What if we just started doing philanthropic work and business conferences together? So why don't we put this badass community of people that just want to give back, build businesses, and do really incredible things in this world, philanthropic entrepreneurs. And then we put them all together and then we say, hey, we're going to go to Mexico and build something at Cole's orphanage. We'll charge you some money. You can come to that event, but it's going to be a life-changing event. Your life ROI is going to go through the roof because when you see these kids in poverty and you go and serve them with other entrepreneurs talking about their vulnerabilities and how they're going through their lives, that kind of stuff, you actually have transformational change. You come back a different human. When I went to 29 and the marathon, I came back a different human and my business blew up. We're trying to recreate those experiences outside the boardroom for people in a philanthropic state where you're serving and you're giving and you're seeing poverty and you're sitting there like, bro, these kids have nothing. They're just happy to be alive. And I'm over here complaining that I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to start my business. Like, I am gifted. I am lucky. We're trying to turn that whole industry on its head and just bring a whole new life to that. So we're going to create an online community of socially responsible entrepreneurs and just overall humans that want to just do better things in life. And so I'm really excited about that. Inside there, we're going to have some incredible speakers, and we're going to change things up with the speaker series as well. It's not going to be your typical speakers come in and speak. We're bringing in like nonprofits, charities, people that actually are like making differences in the world with their businesses, and we're going to get sponsorship from for-purpose companies, so that we can actually just start creating this community that people want to be a part of, that they thrive in, that just has a very different culture. And Cole and I were talking today about it, like, it's going to be a slow build because it's a different thing. We're a little bit ahead of the curve right now. Yeah. Social responsible entrepreneurs are on the rise.
100%, yeah.
And we were talking a little bit about it, but we're saying, like, it used to be people idolized athletes, right? It was like, I want to be this. over the past few years, like I'll say the past 10 years, we've seen this influencer entrepreneur, right? The guys like the Ty Lopez's and the Andrew Tates and the Cody Spurbas of the world that have created these influential brands through lifestyle and cars and fancy lifestyles. They are idolized. So all of a sudden people coming up were like, hey, I don't care about being an athlete, but I want to be like Ty Lopez, right? We'll call those influential entrepreneurs. The new trend that we're seeing is socially responsible entrepreneurs. So instead of people wanting athletes, instead of wanting to be like instead of wanting to be like influential entrepreneurs, people are going to want to be socially responsible entrepreneurs. And those are the people that they're going to want to mentor and learn under. And that's what we're going to put together. It's just an incredible group of people that want to be mentored by socially responsible businesses, brands, people to go out and make a massive impact in the world. And we're going to keep the Thrive model that Cole's built and done. It's just going to be Thrive, go big to give big, man.
That's so cool. It's when I see trends, I always wonder if it's actually a trend in the market or if it's just the people I'm surrounding myself with. So it's cool to hear that you're seeing similar things, because that's been a huge focus for us as well. Like obviously we work with a lot of sales guys, and everyone always says it doesn't matter how much you make, it matters how much you keep.
Yeah.
Right. Or put towards what matters most. Yeah. Right. And these things are great and it's cute to say, but like, are you actually doing it? And especially in some of the industries we work in, you see tons of guys and girls making like $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year, and like broke as shit.
Yeah.
And
not satisfied, man.
No. Yeah. They're just constantly spinning the wheels, and at least it's been a huge mission for us of like, cool, how do you build the infrastructure? How do you make sure that money's going towards what matters most to you?
Yep.
Funding, like all the boring shit, right? Like funding that Roth and getting all the tax benefits.
Yeah.
Or making sure that whatever the big savings goal is, you're putting in a high yield digital checking account that's going to give you like 1.3% interest as opposed to like 0.05.
Yeah.
Right? And automatic transfers, so you don't think about it, and that's not your like club and bottles fund.
Yeah.
Right? Like these little things that, and also on the for purpose side.
Yeah.
Right? Making sure that you're stacking the cash away so you can put it towards the missions that matter to you.
Dude, think about this though, and this is why I'm so excited for this. We could chat for so long about this, but when you start adding a giving component to your business on a monthly thing, it changes you. It changes your employees. It changes how you show up. When you start feeding starving kids, when you start putting kids through sport that never would have been able to do it, and you're like, man, I'm making $100,000 a year, but if I made 150, I could go help more. If I sell 1,000 products right now and I could donate $1 per product, what if I could go do $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 products? If I have real estate and I'm donating $10 a door, and I have 100 doors, I'm donating $1,000 a month. That's cool. But if I could scale that and make a ton more money myself, get to that 250, that 500,000 a year, do it. Just add a giving component to it and scale it with it. And you will just, all of a sudden, you care less about how much money you're making and how many kids you're helping and how many problems you're solving and the world that you're gonna go do. And so we're really changing the focus on the influential entrepreneur was, hey, make a ton of money, get some Lambos, have a really cool life and do this really cool stuff. Why not still have that, but make your focus point how much you're gonna give? How do I go, our tagline for our podcast, how do you go from being a 6-figure earner to 7-figure giver? If you can figure out how to donate $1 million a year, you're gonna make more than you'll ever made in your life. So build your business to give $1 million a year, and you will be 10 times more successful than if you're just more than happy to make a few $100,000 a year as an entrepreneur trying to get ahead. So changing the way we think about stuff will inspire us and empower us to go work harder, do more, and feel freaking great about doing it.
Yeah. And it's such a subtle little shift too, right? And it brings us back to the stories that we're telling. Like you can tell 2 different stories about the exact same reality and both of them might be true, but which one's going to serve what you want to build, right? So like for us, we do a gross revenue share, so it's really easy to do the math. You know, it's like we want to set a goal to donate $100,000. Okay, awesome. I need to make X number of dollars in order to make that happen. Right? And that's how we set goals in our company.
And then when you're talking to your sales guys, you're like, guys, so this is what Tommy Bretz did with his stuff, one of the guys who was in Thrive. It went from, hey, how much do you want to make a year? Awesome. That's where we're at. That's how much you need to do. All of a sudden they started feeding kids. And they're like, hey, we're feeding, 1,000 kids a day. And so his sales team started coming back, and instead of saying, hey, we made $1,000 today, it was like, hey, we fed 1,000 kids today. How do we feed 2,000 kids tomorrow? And they got motivated by the thought of how much they could help somebody as opposed to how much money they made. So his sales team was talking in how many kids they feed, not in how many dollars they sold. And it just changed perspective, man. People, he said, would come back crying because they closed big deals because of the impact that it had and the kids they were getting to help with it.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm gonna need to adopt that. I miss Tommy. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, man.
He's such a good dude.
It's powerful, and that's what it is, man. It's like, it's not just you. It's not just like, oh, I'm doing good because I'm donating.
Yeah.
It's changing the culture of your company. It's getting people inspired. When I talked about how we're seeing this new trend, I talked to people. I talked to a girl the other day who does websites. She was looking to do some design for us. And she's like, what is it for? I told her about the Go Big to Give Big mission, the Give Back, the For Purpose. She's like, that's so cool. I've always wanted to add it. I was like, well, let's do it right now. What do you want to do? She's like, I was like, how many websites do you do a month? She's like, I think I do like 5. Awesome. Well, what if you just, and what do you charge? I was like, what if you just donated $100 from every website you did, and you asked that client which charity that you can make the donation to, so you could build a relationship with that client. You onboard them, you get them on, you're like, awesome. Hey, if you're willing to pay today or when you pay, I'm going to make a donation to your charity of choice. Which charity excites you? What movement are you inspired by? Where do you think we could put this money? That relationship that you just built with that client is actually building them closer to you. So now you've just got a new way of interacting with your client, learning about them, building the know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah.
You close them, you make $100, you donate it away, you do 5 of those a month, boom, you're donating $500 a month, $6,000 a year. She was like, oh my God, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that? Because that's all it has to be. Yeah. It has to be simple and it has to be easy. People complicate it and make it hard. You make it simple, you make it easy, and you deliver on it. Mm-hmm. She messaged me 2 days later, hey Randy, just want you to know, I just enrolled another client, made a $100 donation to the charity, and we laughed and cried about what we're donating about and build a new connection and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that they had, I can't remember what it was. I'll just use an example. Like, I didn't know they had a kid that needed to go into sports, and I helped fund that. Yeah. Like, how cool is that? It costs her $100 that she probably, I told her to add it on to her pricing.
Yeah, bake it in the margin.
Do something like that, and then just go do some good in the world with it. And it was just inspiring to hear that it was so simple, so easy. And then I also talked to my coach who makes a few million a year very easily in one of his multiple businesses. I was like, Coach, what are you doing for purpose? Oh, I just give personally back. Awesome. What does your brand do? Nothing. I was like, cool. Why don't you donate $1,000 from every client that you bring in? His price tag is quite substantial. Why don't you bring in $1,000 from every client you bring in? Just donate it to charity. He's like, done. It was that simple. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. How about I just donate it to the Make Money Matter Foundation? Awesome. Let's do it. And now he's onboarding 20, 30, 40 clients a year at $1,000 a client, and his business is doing those donations, and he can publicly talk about it and share about the impact that he's making in the world. And he made the decision 2 seconds because he heard about it.
Yeah.
All I need to do is get on podcasts, stages, and influence people, because once you hear it, it makes sense. That's how I know that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody that I've pitched this to that's like, dude, who's going to do that? Nobody's going to do that. Everybody said, dude, that's so smart. I'm going to implement that tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, we've had clients that, the ones that really pay attention to it, they're like, all of a sudden when we connect at an event, we're like whiteboard or like back of the napkin, like mapping it out for them as well. Because it is so simple, and I think people overcomplicate it. Yeah. Like, to use the example of the websites, like, yeah, just charge more and give that money away.
100%, dude.
And people will gladly pay it. I love the example Cole always shared with us. I don't remember who it was, but someone had a $47 product. They started charging $50 for it. They took the extra $3, they gave it to the charity, and they had thousands of people. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it's $3,000-$4,000 a month that's just being donated. Yeah. Right? And that's what, $48,000 a year? Yeah. Like, really, really solid. Yeah. So it's really, really simple and very effective to kind of bring this stuff to life. Dude, I'm excited. Give us an idea of timeline. Where can people follow along what you're doing? What does that kind of stuff look like?
Yeah, this is fresh. This is the first time it's ever been talked about.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. Like, this just formulated over the past few days before this interview. So that's why it's not fully in a pitch yet. Where people can find out about it is either following Randy Molland or Cole Hatter. We'll both be promoting it through our social medias. You'll be able to find it on our gobigtogivebig.com podcast site right now. You'll be able to find it. But it's going to be launching sometime in, I'm going to say April or May.
Cool.
We're going to try and get some affiliate marketing and get some stuff growing. But basically, the simplest terms is we're going to create the most givingest community of incredible entrepreneurs that are ready to make the most massive impact shift in the world.
I love it. Well, guys, we're going to link all those in the show notes, all the Instagram, the website, the podcast, all that stuff.
Yep.
Get connected, show some love. Randy, last question I have for you. Going all the way back, starting out an electrician.
Whoa.
Right? Growing under your mentor, having that experience where you're like, oh my goodness, you lost him, and you're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Making that pivot into real estate, the entire growth that you guys had, single family, multifamily development, growing the mastermind, authority hacking, running this meetup for 6+ years, right? All the way to where you're at right now, where you're partnering and building this community. You've done all the endurance events, confidence is dialed. This entire window to go from that version of Randy to this version. What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned that has yielded the most results and had the biggest impact on your life and in your businesses?
Dude, I don't know how people answer these questions. That's a lot.
No pressure.
There's a lot.
There's only 3 cameras.
There's a lot to think about in that, because it's like, man, that self-confidence and the abilities to just produce more and stuff. I'm going to say what I've been channeling lately is just trusting myself. So many times when I made some of these decisions, the best results have came when I've trusted my instincts and trusted myself to make that decision of, cool, my best friend passed away, and I had the choice to go into woe is me or go into, hey, I want to make impact in this world. Trusted that decision to go that way. Dude, I don't know how people answer that question, because it is just so hard, and there's so many things that I went through from like the personal development growth. But the biggest thing that I'm channeling right now is just trusting myself. Like, when my friend passed away, it was like this decision I had to make of go down this road of trouble or go down this road of success. And I had to make that decision together. When I chose real estate, it was like, I just trusted that it was the right move for me, and look what happened. When I made the meetup, it wasn't thinking about it, it was just going after it. Everything now, even to the mastermind, there was no thought. I was like, let's just create a mastermind. Okay, let's go. That's the right move. And a lot of the times, the things that I've slowed down on are when I don't trust myself. I know it's the right move, but there's something holding me back. I'm not feeling good about it. And when I started doing these endurance races and stuff like that, it was like, dude, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, when I'm in peak state, I can hang with the best. I can do the best. And when I trust myself and believe in what I want to believe, there's nobody that can stop me. And that's something that I wish I kept more in tune with as I was going through the ebbs and flows in business and life. And where I am in today's state is just trusting the process and trusting myself that I belong and that I can do no different than anybody else in this world right now. So I'd say that has to be the one thing right now to me, is just trusting my gut, trusting myself, and believing that, like, hey, if this is where I want to be and where I want to go, that it's the right move to do.
Money. Randy, thanks for joining me, brother.
Bro, thank you so much. It's been a long time coming, and we'll have you on the Go Big to Get Big podcast shortly and talk about that impact you're making, bro.
Can't wait, bro. Thanks for joining me.
Awesome, dude.
100%.